Hi, everybody. This is Georgia, your speaker coach, lover of words, rebel with many causes. And welcome on board today's show. And yes, I am still in beautiful Portugal, right by the Atlantic Ocean, enjoying the warm sun with the cool breeze. It's such a beautiful combination. Very calming, very relaxing. The only thing is that the sea is freezing and I haven't got further than dipping my toes in without screaming. Didn't realize it was so cold down this side of the Atlantic. However, this week's topic, all about putting our talents into one basket, or as I like to put it, doing the downward dog. Because when you do the downward dog, you look at life from another perspective. So welcome on board, and I hope we get into some nice chatting and some good conversations. Thank you. And for those of you who are catching the replay, fantastic. Come on in, put down your comments and get your opinions going. Let me hear what you've got to say. Tell me what you think. Have you had these experiences yourself? What's going on for you? So I've been thinking about this quite a lot during these last couple of weeks of my travels. Lovely to see all these hearts and thumbs. I've been thinking about this topic quite a lot during the last couple of weeks of my travels of August, which I am working and relaxing and working. And I've been thinking a lot about how difficult it is for us to use our creative muscles. Yes, you know, those decision muscles and the courage muscles, and how we just don't get any encouragement to use them. We're not taught by our parents. We don't get any guidance at school or college, and in the work environment, even less so. And then it starts to get divided up by gender, class, and race, but a lot of gender stuff going on there, about making decisions and being clear to make the decisions. And most of it is because we just don't get to use those decision muscles, creative muscles, courage muscles. And like any other muscle in your body, you've got to exercise them. So the more you exercise them, the better you get at it. Now, that brings me round to the very topic about our talents and how difficult sometimes it is for us to tap into all the talents that we have, these fantastic abilities that we start to deny in ourselves from a very young age. I mean, if you think back to school time, when you first went, or maybe you were told by your parents, that you should use your right hand for writing. Pick up a pencil, pen, crayon, whatever, with your right hand. Don't use your left hand. And in some countries, in some parts of the world, it was actually, you were told never to use your left hand. And yet, really, if you look into it closely, we are born ambidextrous. And yet we're told not to use our left hand. It's not considered a good thing. There are, of course, people who just go through it and push through it and become great left-handers. Tennis players, I keep thinking of. But, why aren't we encouraged to use our left hand, left brain, and all that kind of thing? So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What's your opinion about that? So all those rules from schools that tell us, we shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be doing that. We have to fit into a box. We, according to our age and gender and size and class, we shouldn't be thinking about that. We shouldn't be going into that type of work. You can't sing. You can't dance. You'll never be able to. Don't do that. It's not for you. The rules from schools, the rules from schools, the shoulds and coulds that are drummed into us from a very early age that makes us feel like we can't do anything. I remember one of the first neighbors I had when I came to Spain, a lovely woman called Mari Carmen. And she used to say to me, "Oh, I can't sing. When I sing, it rains." And it was her sort of throwaway joke to say that she just couldn't do something. And yet when her grandchildren came along, what did she love to do? To sing to them. And I said to her one day, why is it you sing to the babies? She said, oh, when I sing with the babies, they can't complain. They won't tell me I've got a horrible voice. So, you know, when you're told from an early age you can't sing, you can't dance, you can't do this, then you believe it and you close yourself up in the box. Even just the other day I heard somebody say, I hope the pilot flying this plane is not a woman. Still today, there is that prejudice, that idea that we can't do certain things because of our age, our gender, our race, our class, our size, and so on, it goes on. So, doing the downward dog, looking at life from another perspective, seeing how you feel when you turn around and look at things from another direction, when you change direction, in fact. You know, how many people do you know who spend so much of their time complaining about the fact that they're not happy with the work that they do? They're dissatisfied. They don't even like the traveling to work. They don't like doing the work. They come home, they're bored, they're even more bored, and then they go into drinking or watching TV or just doing nothing because they're so tired and so exhausted from a job that doesn't really give them any satisfaction. And they keep doing that the rest of their life. And they never step out of it. And they forget about their imagination and their intuition and all the wonderful dreams that they had as children. You hear that a lot? You hear those complaints? I do. People who are unhappy and dissatisfied that they're not fulfilling their potential. Tell me, what is a downward dog? That's that yoga position where you have your bum up in the air and your hands down in front of you and your feet apart, and you look at the world from upside down. Good question. Not everybody will know it. But yes, so many people are dissatisfied with their life. They feel they're on that conveyor belt, and they're just, or the rat race, you know, just rolling along on that conveyor belt of them, and they feel that they never will get the chance to fulfill their potential. You know, how many people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s said, oh, I wish I had done, I wanted to do that. I always thought about doing it, but I never got the chance because I was told. You know, all those sort of negative thinking that we have. And, you know, I get quite a lot of questions about that. Why, you know, I wish I could do and I wish I had done. And that's really sad, isn't it? It's sad that you feel that you can't fulfill your potential because of limiting beliefs that you've heard from others, the rules from schools, the shoulds and the coulds, that you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that because you are whatever. And so, yeah, I had another question today that I've got an idea of what I want to do, but I don't know. I was always told I couldn't because, and then the excuses came up. And that's really sad because it often leads to frustrations and resentments and anger because you don't fulfill your potential. You know, a nice girl doesn't, shouldn't, couldn't, mustn't because of her class or race. All those things that we hear so much all the time. Every time you go onto Facebook, you hear somebody say that, or even on traveling on trains and planes, and as I have been quite a lot, boats even, you know, you hear all these little snippets of conversation. Oh, I wish I could do this more often. Oh, isn't it lovely to be here? Holiday vibe. I've got to go back to work. I hate my job. I hate my boss. I don't want to go, you know, all this kind of negative talk because people are afraid to step out of their box and do something that they really love. And maybe it's just starting off with a hobby of yours. You know, you'll have painting. You start doing yoga even, that downward dog. Maybe you try wall climbing. why did I say that? I would never do that. Or, you know, I don't know. There are so many wonderful hobbies that you could start and give you a taste of what you can do. You know, maybe you've always had a dream to run the marathon. I know somebody who's just run the marathon, who's just completed a 25-mile half marathon, I believe, and who's just so over the moon with their achievement, their accomplishment, and now they're just flying because they succeeded in overcoming that fear that they could never do such a thing. And it's about challenging yourself, making that decision, exercising your decision muscles, exercising your decision muscles, your courage muscles, and say, what have I got to lose? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. So, you know, it's really funny. It reminded me of I was thinking of some stories to share with you. And one of them was that many moons ago, when I was traveling, I ended up in a big city. Well, it was about 1 million people back in those days. And that was in the last century, folks. And in that, I had a friend of mine who was living there, Budi, his name was. And he said to me, I'll help you find a job. Well, I hadn't really gone there to find a job, but I thought, okay, that's a good thing. Let's see what there is. So he introduced me to his brother, who was a banker. What do I know about working in banks? Anyway, I went to meet him. He was a very nice man, very polite, very well dressed, very kind. And he asked me to sit down in front of him on the chair on the desk in front of him. And he said to me, so I could offer you a job as a secretary, if you like, maybe just for a month or something like that, so that you can settle into the city and get to meet a few people. So I said to him, well, what would I have to do? He said, just simple, typing. So I said to him, I can't type. And he looked at me, his eyes went huge, and he said, what do you mean you can't type? A woman who can't type is like a woman with one leg. So you know what I did? I hopped out of that room on my one leg just to make the point. I couldn't type. And I still can't really, to be honest with you. I'm a two-finger girl. So, you know, it was putting me into that box. I was a woman and I couldn't type. There was something wrong with me. You know, what can you do about that? So people then shy away because they have that kind of experience in their lives, you know, that they've been told they can't do something, they'll never be good at anything, and anyway, it's too late now. Yeah, that's a sad thing. So on the blog this week, I talked about some simple ways that you could solve this holding back your abilities, your potential, your potential to be multi-talented. Because building your self-confidence and your self-belief is the way in to achieving and accomplishing and fulfilling your potential and your abilities. So how do you start off with that? How can you get into that? You know? So I just wrote down 4 simple things here. And I really do believe that looking at the simple solutions first is the best way to start. So number 1, self-belief. You have to believe that you can do it. Yes, it involves hard work. Yes, it involves implying yourself. Yes, encouragement. Yes, maybe a good coach. Yes, an accountability partner. All those things come after you start to believe you can do it. And that is really just a change of mindset. Telling yourself, yes, I can do it, and I'm going to make a start. That decision muscle, that courage muscle, encouraging courage muscle, you have to switch them on and start to exercise them and believe that you can do what you want to do. Start singing, start playing the guitar, start windsurfing, learn a new language, whatever it is, you can do it. And it starts with belief. Number 2, switch in to your intuition and your imagination. because believe you me, they are also very neglected talents, abilities and skills, tools that we have and we own. We have them and nobody can take those away from us. Our intuition and our imagination. You know, it's like you have to see it like you got all these switches. You know, here's your decision muscle, here's your courage muscle, here's your intuitive muscle, here's your imaginative muscle. Just switch them on and let them start rolling and working. Because once you start to use your intuition and your imagination, you'd be surprised what ideas you come up with, what brilliant thoughts. It's true, you know, you just have to give it a try. Ah, Christina, estás aquí. We're talking about those fantastic multi-talents that I know you've got too. And how do we tune into them? By switching on our decision muscles, our courage muscles, intuitive and imaginative muscles. Yeah. And then number 3, it's learning. Become an expert in the field that you want to grow and learn. You know, start learning. Nowadays, it's so easy to learn new things. We have great questions. Can I start friends with us? We can turn to our coaches and our accountability partners. There's so much information out there. So if you want to become an expert, good, perfect, brilliant in your field, yes, why not? Go for it, learn about it, develop that learning muscle of yours. That's another muscle to get into, and start learning something new. Number 4, keep the focus. Yes, keep the focus. Now, it's not always easy, I know. I get put off. I think, oh, what am I doing? I'll never be able to fulfill this. I'm too this, I'm too that. I'll never, I shouldn't, I couldn't. And the rules from schools start affecting us again. What do we do? What do we do about that? We have to focus. We have to refocus, and it's almost like channeling your energy back into what it is that you want. And ask yourself that question. What is it that you want? What do you want to do? You want to learn that language? You want to play that guitar? You want to travel? You want to do yoga? What is it that you want to do? Find out. Ask yourself. Nobody can ask you except you. You ask yourself, what do you want to do? And keep that focus. And when in doubt, go back to number 1. What was number 1? Believe that you are multi-talented. There are 4 simple little things that you can do to start your journey, because it is a journey. And this is something that you will do all your life. And these are so simple little tools that you can carry with you. So every time the doubts come, the limiting beliefs come, people start telling you, oh, no, you can't do that because your class, your race, your gender, the time, the age, your size, and all that nyafogging, as we say in Hungarian, nagging, that chatty monkey nagging in your ear, telling you can't. Well, you know, you just have to refocus and ask yourself again, what do you want? And then you go back to number 1. Believe that you are capable of doing anything. You are capable. You just have to apply yourself and learn. Yeah. Switch on that intuition and imagination button and turn it up full volume. And then start to learn to become the expert in your field. And you find that with the learning, with the intuition, with your imagination, with your experience, your own unique experience of life, you put a special turn on it. So those are the 4 simple things. And now I want to tell you what I did once upon a time. Actually, it wasn't so long ago. Fresh water. What I did just, I think it was 1998, something like that. And there I was traveling. I was still in the music business, just about, you know, thinking about, oh, what am I going to do? Feeling that feeling of dissatisfaction. It wasn't working out. wasn't getting the jobs I wanted to do. I was feeling really unhappy about it, thinking, oh, all these years in the music business, and I'm not really doing what I want and getting what I want out of it. Feeling frustrated. So I took myself away on a holiday, and I didn't take my instrument with me deliberately. My instrument was saxophone. I didn't take my saxophone with me, and I went on a holiday. And after about a couple of weeks, I started to feel I was missing it. I was missing playing. I was missing the expression that I had from playing music. My creative ability, my artistic side, my need to express myself through music was such a big part of my life and my personality. So I found it really frustrating. I didn't have my instrument with me. So I started to look around to see what there was. And I went up to there was a community centre nearby, and there was an old piano. And I used that word very carefully because it was old. And as soon as I opened the lid, I found that half the notes were dead, flat, sharp, terrible. So that was a no-no. I didn't know what to do. I was feeling even worse. Oh, I wish I'd brought my instrument with me. And then I found a pencil and I started to write. Now, the last time that I'd written anything poetic or even lyrical, because although I was in the music business, I didn't really do the lyrics. I was an instrumentalist. So when I picked up my pencil and started writing poetry, believe it or not, prose like poetry, stories in words, you know, lyrical, poetic stories, I found great release. And, you know, I was just saying that the last time I wrote was when I was a teenager, something about the trees and the stars, you know, as you do. The trees, the stars, the moon, I was in love. Eh? And there was me writing again. And I started to write regularly, every day, 2, 3, 4, 5, couldn't stop. My pencil became my favorite instrument. And there I was expressing myself and letting out that energy that I have, that creative energy. And I didn't even think about it. The funny thing was that when I went back to London, I went to my hangout, which was the Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club. Obviously, being a musician, I used to go there regularly. So I went there, and there was no music on that night. There was a performance poet doing a show. And his name was Larry McLachlan, or Murray McLachlan. I should remember his name. Anyway, I went in, and there he did this 20-minute story poem, prose poem, full of action, full of expression, fantastic drama it had. It was a performance poem. And I looked at this guy and I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. This is fantastic. And, you know, I had I had about a dozen poems that I'd written during my travels. And I thought, I can do this. I was so inspired. And there, you see, I had already started writing. I'd already taken up the pen and put it onto paper and started using it as a way to express myself, because I believed I could, because I switched in and on to my intuition and my imagination, because I started to learn about it. I started to practice it. I started to listen to others, to read books by other poets, to watch other performance players, because I wanted to do the performance side of it. And I kept my focus. I kept doing it. And so for me, sharpening your pencil, that's what I want to see, people sharpening their pencils. And it was a really turnaround for me. I mean, in the first few years, I did music with words, with performance. I did performance poetry with music. I worked with a bass player. I was still playing sax. And I got up and I did some words. I did my poetry stuff, you know, I laid it out. And then I picked up my sax. My bass player was there. So, you know, I kept that going for a while. But it was starting to evolve. I switched on my decision muscle, my intuitive muscles, my imagination, and the courage muscle. And I just went and did it. And I know you can too. I know you can too. And it's a wonderful feeling when you discover that passion, that vision, that dream that you had, perhaps when you were very young, perhaps now, perhaps recently, you've discovered something that you really want to do. So I do encourage it in you. And it is about focusing and exercising those muscles. And I know that you're going to tell me all about your little stories about how you're ready to change. And one of the things I wanted to share with you as well is that I have been in the entertainment industry for many years now. I have been on the stage. I've been behind the stage. I've been at the side. I've been under the stage. I've been in all corners of stages, and I've learned many things about it. I know what it's like to feel the fear, to have the nerves, to be put off, to feel invisible, to feel too small. I've had loads of experiences being on stage, and so I can share with you many more of all those ins and outs of being on stage and having the courage, making the decisions, using imagination and intuition to get what you want, to prove to yourself that you are so multi-talented and you can do anything that you want to do if you encourage yourself, or help me, or ask me to encourage you, in fact. So I do believe that you can do this through the power of language. Using language to express yourself is really important. And you know, all of us have the power of language to develop smart, snazzy, snappy, sparkling, super stylish language skills. And during the summer months, which is a bit longer than you may realize, August and September, I'm offering a 1-month course on how to develop super writing skills so that you can get your message out there by using the power of language, because it is through the power of language that your message gets out there. Maybe you want to write it. You want to do your poems, you want to write a play, you want to write a book, you've got a good short story in there brewing, whatever it is. You want to spread your message, you want to talk to the world, do a TED talk, do a performance, whatever it is. Contact me, let me know. I've got lots of energy and encouragement to give you. So just drop me a note. And it's almost time to sign off and enjoy a beautiful evening, whatever it is you're going to do and wherever you may be. How time flies, huh? And I'm going to be watching another glorious sunset over the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, I can't tell you how beautiful that is. Exhale and expand. That's what I say. So believe in yourself, that you can be a multi-talented, super stylish person, and start switching on your decisive, courageous, intuitive, and imaginative muscles, and you will see what great results you get. So I wish you all a fabulous evening. Do post your comments and your questions when you catch the replay. I look forward to reading them and seeing you somewhere online. And big hugs. See you soon. I'll be back in a week. Take care now.